So grateful for this opportunity to be here this day at this moment in this configuration of souls, knowing that this day will never look like this again. This unique configuration of souls that have come together here for the Happy, Healthy, Wealthy, Mama Free virtual conference that is dedicated to helping moms like yourself embody inner peace and prosperity so they raise healthy kids. Now more than ever, it is essential, it is imperative that you embody your divine nature, your worth, and go forth and spread that consciousness in all that you do. I am Reverend Wendy Silvers. I'm so grateful that you have joined us today. This is a very special day, and you are going to meet some incredible women that I am so grateful to have as part of my sacred circle. Everybody deserves to have a sacred circle of women, wise women that they can be for others and lean into for themselves. Just like I always say that children need 3 wise men and 3 wise women to usher them through their life. So you have arrived at the Happy, Healthy, Wealthy Mama Conference, and I'm so glad you're here. And I'm going to share something really personal with you in a little while. And I want to jump in with my first wonderful guest, Ora Nadrich. She is someone that I met, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago. And I just had this immediate heart connection. She is wise, she is deep, she is spiritual, she's grounded, she's loving, she is brilliant, she's amazing. And Ora Nadrich is a pioneering mindfulness expert, international keynote speaker and coach, and the founder and president of the Institute for Transformational Thinking. Oprah Winfrey's confidant and New York Times best-selling author Marianne Williamson said, "When she speaks, I listen. When she writes, I read it. When she gives advice, I heed it." Ora is a sought-after expert in the fields of mindfulness, transformational thinking, and self-discovery. Ora created and popularized her highly effective Says Who method, which allows her clients to ask simple questions that result in profound personal and professional transformation. Ora is the author of Says Who: How One Simple Question Can Change the Way You Think Forever, and Live True, a mindfulness guide to authenticity, named one of the 100 best mindfulness books of all time by Book Authority, which is the world's leading site for book recommendations by thought leaders, and recently was chosen as one of the top 5 books on authenticity on positive psychology. Her work has been featured in Thrive Global, Fast Company, NBC News, Women's Health Magazine, Reader's Digest, Psychology Today, Yahoo, Health, Success Magazine, and many others. She is a frequent Huffington Post contributor and one of their leading global mindfulness experts. Ora was just on KTLA News as a mindfulness expert, giving advice on how to reduce stress in your life. And she was a guest on the Awakened Mother podcast, which I host as well. So welcome to the stage, Ora. Woo!
Hi. Hi, Wendy and everybody. So great to be here today. What a special day.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. For those of you that are really interested in mindfulness and meditation, the book behind you on Ora's shelf is such a gorgeous plan of action for you to really enlighten yourself and have a practice every day. I love that book, Ora.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Really, thank you.
Yes. So today's theme is helping moms embody inner peace and prosperity so they raise healthy kids. And you have 2 children who are healthy and empowered. And as a mom, what do you feel the definition is of embodying your sovereignty?
Embodying your sovereignty really brings to mind authenticity. It is really claiming your true authentic self, who you are, who
Mhm.
you came into this incarnation as, who your spirit is, who your soul essence is. This is who we are. We are unique, individual, special human beings. And I love the quote by philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So each of us is this spiritual being, this very exquisite, uniquely designed spiritual being. So to me, sovereignty really brings forward in my mind those things, the true essence of one's heart and soul.
Thank you. And in today's day and age, what do you recommend are the best practices to help moms embody their authenticity?
I really want to say and encourage women, again, I will probably repeat this word throughout our interview, is their authentic self. When we embody and we imbibe who we are, all we have to do is, like, you started us off in a beautiful breathing meditation. If we were to just close our eyes and connect to our authentic self and ask ourselves, who am I? Who is my true authentic self? We're going to connect immediately to who we are, And when we have that connection, we are very much aligned with who we are as women, who we are as mothers, sisters, healers, nurturers, midwives. I mean, it's all there. It's just needing sometimes to be in alignment with it when life pulls us in and out of that connection. There's a lot of gross elements to what we're being bombarded with daily. I would say for the women out there, take those moments that you need just to reconnect, to realign, to connect to the core of your being, your authentic sovereign self.
Yes, beautifully said. And I love that quote as well. Uh, one of the tools that I have implemented in my life is something I learned when I was going through my spiritual counseling training. And that was at every stoplight or at every stop sign. That's a little trickier, but at every stoplight to just turn within, to close my eyes and move into my heart and breathe, as you said, to just connect, because the world we are seeing is really intent on overstimulation, information overload. And as you said, to just take those moments and that it's all inside, it's not outside of us.
No, it's not. I mean, what is outside of ourselves, which is important to connect to, and will always mirror back our true nature, is nature. Which again is constantly being sort of bombarded or veiled over with so much stimulation and so many distractions and so much unnaturalness, if you will.
Mm.
So, I do feel that connecting, going within the inner journey, as well as what I talk about in my second book, Live True, A Mindfulness Guide to Authenticity, is to spend time life gazing, to be able to, yes, spend the time within, but when you're also looking without, not just to be pulled into the distractions, but to say, where's nature in this moment? I love to look out my window and see the trees and the birds. And on a windy day, I love to see the leaves on the tree, undulating. So nature without is a wonderful thing to focus on when you're not within. And I personally like to just put a pause on all these distractions that we're faced with daily, and they're only getting more so, as we know.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, what helped you along your mothering path to raise your kids?
As those of us that are mamas, especially with your firstborn, aside from the fact that it's a whole new experience, and you're going into the unknown,
Yeah.
and that can be daunting. But, no matter how many books are written on mothering or motherhood, there's no greater guide than, again, your inner wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what I really allowed to come forward in me, is this trusting my innate instinct, my intuition as a mother, really claiming that and saying, okay, I have mother wisdom. I just need to trust it and I need to act on it. So, I moved through that first experience as a mother of my first eldest son, Jake, and it was just incredible. I look back at that time and I think, sometimes I look back at that time and I think, wow, how did I do that? Or how did I know that? You know what I mean? And I remember reading books and turning the pages, but then I would trust myself. And when I trusted myself, my instincts helped lead the way. They helped lead the way in many ways, by the way, as far as what I felt was the most, healthy things to put into my children's bodies, with food. I remember pureeing all the food, organic food, and all the hours I spent doing that, and being made fun of by other mothers, and then also going to health food markets and buying all the health food there and getting very educated about immunizations. I mean, I just trusted my instincts, Wendy. I felt like, nobody told me really what to do. I had to really trust and navigate it through my own inner insight, wisdom, if you will. And I think every woman has that. If she allows herself not to just go into fear and, take those breaths, those needed breaths on the first journey, the first foray into having your first child, we're remarkable. Women are remarkable. We just are.
True. Thank you for sharing that. It is really interesting when you step outside of whatever preconceived notions or box that we are indoctrinated with, and follow and your inner guidance. So have you always been like that? Was there a time or a turning point in your life that you had this awakening? I mean, I know you, but I'm wondering, if you could share about that experience.
Well, I think I've always been very intuitive. And as a Jungian analyzed woman, I've come to know that I'm a textbook intuitive. I am really somebody who's always gone through life, even as a little girl, like, what was I sensing? What was I feeling? Does this feel true and real? Does this not feel true and real? So I think I've always been highly intuitive, empathic, that comes naturally for me. And again, that goes back to one's true nature, which I think we need to really celebrate. I've had a long psycho-spiritual journey, and I've been on that path for a very long time. I also felt very in tune with the fact that I knew I was going to be a mother. I started having maternal stirrings very early on. So I trusted that. But my journey has led me to many places, as you know. I mean, that could go on for hours. I've had many vicissitudes on the life journey. I've had many experiences, many awakenings. There were a lot of challenges along the way. I lost 2 siblings. I had one sister who was afflicted with mental illness, which was very devastating. And that really got me on the path of wellness. It brought me, really into the wellness field, having been an actress for 10 years and then a screenwriter. That path led me to, I think, knowing that I wanted to do something that was, again, more authentic to my heart and soul. So that all of that combined, and also motherhood, has helped me be the woman that I am today.
It's beautiful, so beautiful. It's really, our souls are amazing, because I believe we come in with a curriculum on our souls, and we have these opportunities to follow the cosmic breadcrumbs, and we don't necessarily know what they are until we are able to look back and then just see along the way how we were guided. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's so true, Wendy. And I look at, even my book now, Mindfulness and Mysticism, and I have a chapter on the dark night of the soul.
mm,
And I think back to whatever happens along the life journey that's painful, or the suffering that we will endure, as Buddha talked about, that, suffering is inevitable, pain is optional, how we deal with it is of our choosing, but that it's all been part of those crumbs that you talk about. It's so true. Those are our greatest teachers, our greatest lessons on the life journey.
absolutely. And one, I mean, I'm truly everyone, I really want you to hear this. I love Ora's book, Mindfulness and Meditation, and I encourage you to purchase it. It is such a wonderful guide, and something that is really that I'm aware of in my own life journey is that the dark night of the soul is not just one night.
Thank you. Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly. For
Yeah,
those who had it, more than
yeah,
one night, know that
yeah.
it's many, many nights.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And how wonderful to have one of the qualities that I admire so much is your ability to trust. And something I would love to impart to our guests is, did you always trust? Because I know for me, I'm very intuitive. I've always been that kind of feeling, sensing being, and really, trusting that and embodying that has been part of my growing edge. So I'd love to hear you speak to that because it is so embodied in you.
Trust is such a great thing to talk about, because I really value the whole idea of trusting, do you know?
Mhm.
And I was just talking to a young woman the other day who came to see me, and that was brought up in our conversation about trusting who we are, trusting our inner truth, trusting
Mhm.
our wisdom, trusting our intuition, do you know? And I know for me personally that when I'm really trusting of my true self, my authentic self, it all makes sense to me. Like, this life makes sense to me when I do that, do you know?
Mhm.
And when you go into doubt, which is inevitable, and it's part of the um, dualistic nature of life, again, going back to Pierre Teilhard de Chardin's quote, where spiritual
Mhm.
beings having a human experience, that's a contradiction right there. So there's a dualistic nature to life. We're in this world, we're spirits, we're in the body, and we're in a material world. So trust is something that I think is a very good thing. I love that you brought that up, for us to really ponder and be aware of, like, where am I not trusting, or why am I not trusting? Am I not trusting for reasons that are actually very mindful and aware of why I shouldn't be trusting this moment? Am I not trusting because I'm doubtful? Well, why am I doubtful? Am I doubting myself? Am I doubting my abilities? Am I uncertain of my inner truth and wisdom? Do you know? So trust helps me really navigate the life journey, because the more I trust who I am, and the more I trust what we've been talking about, instincts, the inner knowing, if you will, I I doubt less and I trust more.
Yes. And to me, that's an aspect of, of when you talk about your authenticity and as part of the definition of sovereignty, that when we have that ability to turn down the dial of what people are saying and tune within and really listen, and that to be able to trust, because to me that is building your spiritual muscle, is that ability to, like, okay, so this is what I'm feeling and sensing, and I'm going to go with that. I'm going to give that an opportunity to manifest.
So true. And the more you trust that, Wendy, the more you really become a more conscious manifester.
Mhm. It's true. True. A conscious creator. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, for everyone who is with us, um, Ora and I have been talking about sovereignty, about your authenticity, about embodying your authenticity. the opportunity to go within and to practice trusting rather than seeking outside for that permission to be yourself. That, I mean, it's interesting because, you know, I identify with you about having been in the entertainment industry, and it's so outward, other focused.
Hmm. Very much so. Yes, it is. It really
And
is.
yeah, and you went inward. When you went from being a screenwriter was to author of those books. I mean, you're so prolific with your books. Was there a natural transition? Was it something that one day you went, okay, spirit is on my heart, I must go here?
That's such a good question. You know, I was trained by one of the top screenwriters in Hollywood at the time. I was an actress, but I've always been a writer since I was a
Mhm.
little girl. And I was very fortunate because one of my screenplays was bought while I was an actress. So I was very young. I was like 23, 24 years old. And that really was like, wow, that was a big deal. You know, when
Which
I was
one? Which one?
this screenplay was called The Anathema, and it
Ooh.
was a supernatural thriller about a young girl that gets possessed by her father's sister's dead spirit who died in the Holocaust. I mean, I thought it was amazing, and you know, it still really is a special story for me because there's part of my own family history in that story.
Mm.
So moving forward, though, I continue to write. And I remember one day being at my, at that time, typewriter, not to age myself, but I was writing, and I remember getting this vision, you know, which is really interesting to me now, having written a book called Mindfulness and Mysticism, because it's those mystical moments that come into your life and you get this sort of divine download, do you know? So I got
Mhm.
this vision while I was writing, and I said, one day I'm going to write things that are true and real, not made up characters. You know, even though movies, you know, are stories based on real events and experiences, but you have to make up these characters and all that. I said, I got this vision that I was going to write about something that had to do with real life, real
Mm.
life experiences. And I remember like noting it and then not paying much attention to it. And so when I got out of the business, I knew that I wanted to write books about the psychospiritual experiences of my life that really changed my life. And I felt very called to write them in book form and then to share them with the world. So that was a big aha moment. And, you know, I sort of walked away from my whole life in Hollywood relatively young. I remember my agent being really mad at me, and you know, people were judging me, and I felt very connected to this vision that I was meant to go into a whole different realm with my purpose, do you know? So and I never looked back. I went into the wellness field, and again I was deeply affected by my sister's um, illness, and I knew that I was going to, I've always been very psychospiritually oriented.
Mm.
So when I look at those series of events, it was all meant to be, you know, even having the awareness that one day I would write books about deep deep life experiences. So, and then I found myself doing that very thing. Talk about manifesting.
Yes. Yes. So I'm curious, did your transition, so you did that when you were very young, and when you had Jake, was any of this percolating within you? Was there something at that time that compelled you to
You
move
know,
into the
well, when I had Jake, because that was 29 years ago, that was a really long time ago, and I was really embracing motherhood. That for me was a time that I was going to have babies and that I was going to, you know, do that. That was going to be my life journey at the time. And I went full on in, you know, and I wasn't really called in a professional setting. You know, that wasn't really what was calling to me. It was when I had my second son, Ben, and Jake was, there's a there's a like a 6.5 age difference between them. It was when I had Ben that I really started to go back to writing. And I thought, well, I could do this from home. I'm a mama and I can write from home. And that's exactly what I did. I started to write again from home. And that's when I wrote my first book, Says Who. And that was just a really powerful experience for me. And what that really did for me, Wendy, is it really connected me to my sister's experience. And I knew that her experience had such a profound effect on me. Her having a mental breakdown and being diagnosed with mental illness was so devastating for me that it created a lot of things on my life journey that needed to be addressed. So I wrote this book, and it was really cathartic for me to write it. You know, it was like I just felt like I had to write this book. And then I never stopped writing since then, you know. And so it was really when my second boy was born, that's when I knew, because I was so fully in with my first son. It was all about being mama 24/7.
Yeah. 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 That the spiritual practice of motherhood and how it there's an opening. There's, Osho said, when a child is born, a mother is born as well. It's that spiritual experience. And
Exactly.
that leads the way for greater expression, for greater creativity,
Right.
because that we're creative beings.
Absolutely. And that whole motherhood experience was so profound for me and so life-changing. And you really start to go into deeper aspects of yourself as a woman
Mhm.
when you have a child, you give birth, and you come to discover things about yourself as a woman and as a mother, and you learn so much from your children.
Yes. So true. So true. I often say that they are our spiritual teachers.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you so much for being with us this morning. And I know that you will be with us for the roundtable that happens
Yes.
later on. And I'm just so appreciative of you and all that you do in the world, all that you share, how generous you are, and how you continue to hold this beautiful space for women, for mothers, for everyone to come forward and have a new experience
Yeah.
with your books.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You so much, Wendy, for having me and holding such sacred space for women.
thank you. Thank you. Yes, we need each other. That, one of we really do need each other, and we need to rewrite the script of the past indoctrination that we can't be there for each other, that we can't celebrate each other's successes, that we can't lift each other up. As we lift each other up, we are raised too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. We're such a magnificent, powerful collective as women.
Yes.
Really
And we're
beautiful.
so we're so, I mean, from your books, from all that you do and all that you are and all that you be, especially at this time in history, it is so important for women to reclaim themselves, for mothers to reclaim their authenticity, their authentic power, and not let some outside source dictate to you in any area of your life.
Absolutely. It's more of a timely time for us to reclaim our authentic selves, our sovereignty, and to have agency over ourselves, mind, body, and spirit.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Wendy. Thank you so
My
much for having me.
Oh, oh, thank you. And I'll see you in just a little while.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
See you
All
later.
right.
Bye.
Bye.